Well, welcome.
Thank you.
This is Sierra Olmstead with a Move Handle with Care. She's one of our true trusted professionals that we use alongside almost all of our senior moves. Sierra, welcome, and tell us a little bit about how you got into the business.
So, hi Blair, thanks for having me today. So I got into this business, I actually worked in retirement communities prior to owning my company, and I was actually just had the fortunate circumstances of the previous owners who would actually move my residents into our community. We're looking to sell their business and we're ready to move on, and so the offer presented itself and I was able to take them up on that and really see how I could continue on to move seniors and help them in this daunting process of downsizing.
Right, daunting for sure. So how is a senior move manager different than a traditional mover?
So we do a lot more than just a traditional mover. Movers will, take stuff from A to Z in a truck. Sometimes movers will pack and they will unpack. But that looks very different than a move manager. A senior move manager really takes the time and the energy of planning a move up front. If you just hire a mover, it's usually you call them, you give them a date, and they show up on your door.
Right.
What a move manager is going to do is we are going to take the time to walk through a house, figure out what can go, what cannot go, do a floor plan if it's appropriate, and we're going to help people go through their things, give them guidelines on what to take and how much kitchen do you take. You're not hosting Thanksgiving anymore, so what do we do there? And then we also really methodically look through how is the move going to look? When are we going to pack? So we come in, we do full packing, we bring all of our own supplies, and then we do partner with moving companies to actually put stuff on a truck, and then we take them over to their new home and we actually unpack. And it's a lot different than a mover where you just put stuff onto flat surfaces and you're responsible for putting them away. We organize them. We put it back into cupboards and cabinets and dressers and things like that. And people might ask, well, how do we know where things are when you're unpacking, since I'm not doing it? And that's part of that planning process. We talk with people about where do they want things, how do they function in their home, how do they want things set up, so that on move day we already have that all planned out.
Perfect.
And so we can really be efficient and organized in that and really put things away in an organized manner.
Wonderful. So do you help also out with pre-sorting and helping people figure out what to keep and not to keep?
We do. That is essential in a downsized move because you can't take everything, and there's so much that people want to take that they've had in their family for generations and generations. And it's hard to let go, but we do. We'll sit with clients, we'll pre-sort, we'll help them decide what they should take and be realistic and point out things of what their new life can look like. So we can sit down with them and go drawer by drawer, which we've done, or we can give them tips, and we have some great resources. Specifically, we've got a whole list of what you should take from a kitchen, what that would look like, and just different sheets that they can go room by room and kind of pick out what they should take with them.
Sure. So what are those big mistakes you see people make before they call you when it comes to downsizing and sorting their own stuff?
I think one of the biggest mistakes is that people call me too late. They call me when they are ready to move, when they have a date, and they think they just need packing and moving and maybe unpacking, maybe not. And we show up and we realize there's still so much to be done, and we can't get it done in the month time span that they have, which is really hard. So for you guys on a real estate side, we're pushed up against deadlines.
Right.
So they call us in a month out because their closing is in a month.
Right.
And it's just not realistic that people will be able to touch everything in their home prior to a move.
Right.
We're really good at buying homes and filling them with stuff.
That's the truth.
That's what they're for. And so we just find that people call us too late. We really need to get out there sooner so that we can really guide. And the other thing people do is they focus on what's not going. And they really shouldn't. They need to focus on what is going. By focusing on what is going, the elephant in the room gets smaller. And they kind of just need to let go what's not going. And that's the hardest emotional part of it.
Right. So it seems like a lot of what you do and what I've seen you do in our clients' houses has to do with helping them prioritize what they're going to keep, cutting through a lot of that emotional element of the downsizing process. We have seniors all the time who talk about just how emotional it is to get into a closet full of memories. So moving through this kind of new thing we're going through with the COVID-19, well, first of all, how are you seeing communities react to this? Are they shutting down? Are they staying open for moves?
You know, Blair, it is all across the board right now. As we're all experiencing, this is a day-by-day thing and almost hour-by-hour. And majority of retirement communities are staying open.
Okay.
And I say that in quotes because they are very restricted on who gets into the building and who is not.
Right.
So as a preferred vendor for different retirement communities, they have allowed us to continue to move their residents in. Higher levels of care, assisted living and memory cares are very strict.
Sure.
And we're finding that usually what we're having to do is bring all of their stuff to a loading dock. We drop it off. And then their team will go in, take it, and then take it into the community, and then the community's team will unpack.
Right.
So we don't enter in through the doors.
Right.
Now, other communities, more specifically in independent living or residential, we are allowed to move in. Same process. Obviously, they all have screening protocols.
Right.
My staff are required to have their temperature taken, go through the typical screening questionnaire, wear gloves, masks, everything like that.
So in general, are you seeing a lot of moves progress just with these guidelines in place?
We're kind of pleasantly surprised at how many people are still moving.
Sure.
But like anything, it is essential because you've planned this. People are waiting on home sales and they don't want to not move and not have their home be sold when they already have a buyer.
Right.
Or, you know, Mrs. Smith had to go to the hospital and she is now being released and she has to go into a community because that's the safest place for her. And same thing for just other residents. It's just not safe for them to be in their homes, and our priority is to make sure they're safe.
Well, in this kind of interim that we have, this shutdown, the quarantine, what are some things that seniors can start working on, downsizers, people who are looking to move this summer and fall? What are some things they can do? What advice would you give them to work on?
So this is a great time. It's always funny when we do these presentations. I say winter's right around the corner. It's a good time to stay in and do some organizing. But now we're all inside, and as we know, seniors are at the highest risk. So for them to stay inside is essential, or just in their homes. Don't go out too much. So really, what my recommendations are is start to look through your home. Why not start to pull stuff out of cabinets and cupboards? And I would urge people to start in areas that they don't live in. Okay. Because the kitchen, your office, you probably know the majority of what you're going to take from there because you're in there on a daily basis. It's the basements. It's the second bedrooms that you just kind of put stuff away. And I would just urge people to start pulling stuff out. Start with one drawer at a time and focus on what you would want to take with you. Okay. If you haven't used it in the last 6 months, do you really need to keep it? Right. And even if it's that memento that you've had as a little child, your grandmother gave you, things like that, you really have to dig deep. And that's that emotional part. Sure. But realize that it had its time. Take a picture. You know, everything's on our phones and in the cloud. Yep. Great way to store things. So take a picture and then put it to the side. Start piles, donation, maybe things for your kids to go through, or things that you want to keep. Right. And it would make sense, things that you want to keep, go ahead and put back in the drawer.
And sometimes people use those little red dots, yellow dots, green dots to sort for donation, keep, and bring with them.
Exactly. And those are perfect. Just, you know, take those dots, put them on a cabinet drawer so you know, let's say green means go, so you know everything in there would go with you. Good. And you've already started that sorting process.
Well, thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you.